And yeah, so I'm Remy, and so I'm a test automation expert. So having around 22 years of experience, and so I do freelancing. So and I'm currently working with an MNC, and so my profile is completely into test automation, wherein like I have worked on various test automation frameworks, so which includes web app testing using Selenium, Cypress. So and again, like various vendor-based tools like UFT and all that. So I have worked on, and so I have done consultation with various clients, and so I have done enormous trainings on various test automation tools, and one such very popular modern test automation framework is the Cypress. Right. So this is in short about myself, and regarding this session, so this is a 5-day session. So wherein like, so you might have got the schedule, and so this is the time that we are planning. So like every day, sorry, every session goes for 3 hours. Right. And so this is a complete demo oriented session. So it is like, again, I'm not going to walk you through the slides or anything. So it is a completely practical oriented session. So wherein like, so we will be looking into the concepts. I'll first explain the concepts, and I will also provide you the time to practice on your system. Like I believe everyone, you have a laptop with a decent configuration and with proper internet connections. That is more than enough. So I will start off with the prerequisites, what exactly you need to do, what is the Cypress, so where we use this Cypress, why it is used for, what are the benefits of this specific test automation tool, and for what sort of requirements we can able to use this Cypress. We will also see all the features of this specific tool, and I will also compare with other competitor tools also, in what way this specific tool is quite popular, and accordingly we will take it up. And I'll also give you time for your practice. So whatever notes or anything, like if in case you want to take, so you are welcome to do that. And if in case you have any questions, any concerns in the meantime when we are having the session, so please, you can stop me anytime and just let me know. If you want me to re-explain everything, I'll do that. Right. So one more sincere advice, let's make this program quite interactive and interesting. So if in case you have any questions, concerns, so please let me know, and we can take it up accordingly. Yeah. So thank you so much. And so before we actually start, so I would also like to know about you. So you can primarily just introduce yourself, a quick introduction about you, and like, so what sort of exposure you have with test automation, and especially with Cypress. So that would really help us to take the session accordingly, and so that I'll go in detail about the context, and I will also explain you accordingly and take it forward. Anybody to go with first?
Yeah, hi everyone, good evening. This is Hanisha Lekalpuri.
Hey, hi Hanisha.
I started doing automation just like from 1.5 years. So this Cypress is very new to me. So I'm looking forward to learn.
Yeah, okay. Sure. So may I know what test automation tool you are currently using, Hanisha?
So we are using Selenium.
Selenium. Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so please introduce yourself. So that will really help us to set the context. Hey, hi, Srikanth.
Yeah, actually, I'm having around 10 plus years of IT experience. So on that, I'm having around 9 plus years in test automation field. So I was mainly being to Selenium and Java, but recently moved to a project with Cypress.
Okay. Okay. So you were completely into Selenium automation. Now you move yourself into Cypress.
Cypress, yeah. Currently with 4+ months, I am in Cypress actually.
Okay, okay, sure. Thank you, Srikanth.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm doing Selenium automation for 2 years now, and Cypress is completely new for me. I'm
Okay.
waiting. Yeah.
Your name is Divya, right?
Yeah. Yes, Divya.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Divya.
Thank you.
Hi Remy, Alvin here. So I'm having 4 years experience in IT and like 2 years experience in automation, and I've been working in Selenium, and Cypress is a completely new technology for me.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Alvin.
Hi, Remy. I'm Shamu. I have been
Yeah, hi,
working in
Shambhu.
I have been working in automation for 1.5 years. I have completely worked on Selenium testing and SOAP UI. Cypress is new for me.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Mahindra.
Yeah, hi,
And,
Mahindra.
yeah, I have been working with automation for the past 1 year. And I'm just hearing the Cypress now.
Okay. So you are completely new with Cypress.
Yes.
So which test automation tool you are working on?
Selenium.
Selenium. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mary Divya.
Hey, hi, Mary.
Hi, yeah, I have exposure to Cypress. This was the first tool which I did the automation. So yeah, so it's I think around 6 months I was working on that. Currently, I am not doing that. I am into the backend testing most of the time.
Okay.
But I had worked around 6 or 8 months in that in the last year. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Mary.
Hi, myself Prayaga.
Hey, hi, Prayaga.
Yeah, I have around 2 years of experience in Selenium automation testing. And for me also, Cypress is completely new.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi Remy, this is Ulesh here.
Hi,
So
Ulesh.
I am basically from the automation background, so I used other tools like Selenium and also backend tools, for example, Perl, Shell, and then also SOAP UI kind of where the Java, little bit of Java. So Cypress is new to me. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Thank you so much, Ulesh.
Hi Rami, this is Namir. I also have around 10 years experience in the industry, but I don't have much experience in automation, even though I've done some basics in some test in the Cypress before. Due to some other priority, I had to move out. Now, yeah, that's all from me.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Namir.
Hi Remy, this is Sudipta here. So I'm also very new to Cypress. So I also haven't worked in any of this, front-end automation, but I was mainly working in this back-end testing and back-end automation using this Ready API.
Ready API. Okay. Okay. Fine. So, and you were primarily a API tester.
Yeah, but I haven't worked any of this front-end, automation, mostly in the back-end. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Thank you so much. Yep. Anybody to go on next?
Myself, Preeti. I have 1.5 years of experience in Selenium automation. Cypress is new to me.
Thanks, Preeti.
Hi, I am Harshita. I have 1.5 years experience in Selenium automation testing, and Cypress is new to me. I am looking forward to learn.
Yeah. Thanks, Harshita.
Hi, I am Arati, and I have 4 years of experience in IT industry, and I have worked with Selenium and GQL, and Cypress is new to me.
Yep. Thanks.
Hello, Remy. This is Bhavya. So,
Bhavya.
In the past 2 years, I think I have spent quite some time working on the Cypress automation, the UI side. Yeah, but looking forward for some more new information and new upgrades on the tool.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks.
Hi, Rami. Preeti here. So I'm also new to Cypress. I have worked in Selenium automation for around 3+ years.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Preeti.
Hi, Remy. This is Ebenezer Solomon. I have 1.5 years experience in Selenium, and Cypress is totally new to me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ebenezer.
Hi, Remy. This is Tino.
Hi, Tino.
I have around 5 years of experience in Selenium, and I'm also new to Cypress.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tino. Hey, hi, Sijina. Okay, so I believe almost we covered everyone.
I have one question, Rami.
Sorry, Mary?
Yes, I have one question. So
Yes.
in your sessions, you will cover the BDD, Cypress with BDD, right?
Yeah, I will talk about BDD as well, but primarily so what I'm planning to do is, since so what I understand, or like what I look from this crowd is almost 99% people are completely new with Cypress, and what I can see is almost 90 to 95% people are into test automation with Selenium, right? So it will be very easy again, for people to transit from Selenium to Cypress. We will talk about Cypress functionalities completely, like as I said initially, what are the features, functionalities, what is Cypress meant for what sort of requirements typically we need to go with Cypress. We will talk about all that, and we will also cover up BDD, not an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, fine. Okay, so it's good, and yeah, so thanks everyone for your introductions, and it is really good that most of you guys are into test automation. So you know very well about what is test automation, and you have worked in Selenium test automation, and you know what is Selenium. So similarly, Cypress is a modern test automation framework, so which is something similar to Selenium, right? And so if you look into the similarities of Cypress with Selenium, Cypress is an open source test automation tool mainly for testing web applications, as Selenium. And if you look at Cypress, it can interact with different browsers. So as like Selenium, it is meant for web testing. Cypress is completely meant for web testing. It can interact with different browsers. So as how we have Selenium, or Protractor, or any test automation tools, which we mainly use for web automation, right? And the main difference between Cypress and Selenium is on its architecture, right? And if you see Cypress, it's mainly built on JavaScript, right? It is a JavaScript testing framework, I would say. And Cypress is capable of testing web applications built on any technology. So either it may be a conventional web application, or it could be a modern web applications like what we are getting nowadays, which was built on Angular, or React objects, all that. Mainly Cypress is meant for testing modern web applications. So that is where Selenium lacks actually. Selenium could not able to identify the modern web elements which was built on Angular or React objects, right? And Cypress is very powerful on testing modern web applications, which we will see slowly. We will go step by step. We will try to understand the complete functionality of Cypress, because you may not able to relate Selenium with Cypress, because Selenium is something where it doesn't have a UI, wherein so you have to use a open source IDE like Eclipse or anything. I believe you can now able to relate it. and Selenium supports multiple languages. And Cypress, again, like you can write your script in JavaScript, or otherwise you can write your script in TypeScript, right? So we will see all that. You can write your test typically in these two languages. One is JavaScript or TypeScript, but Cypress is typically a JavaScript testing framework, as I told you. Cypress, what it will do is it will run test mainly with JavaScript. So we can use JavaScript as a scripting language. That is the only language which Cypress can able to understand. And any other language using which you can able to easily transpile or convert into JavaScript, you can also write in that language, like TypeScript, as I told you. So TypeScript is a language using which you can automatically transpile into JavaScript easily. So Cypress typically supports this two scripting languages, but please understand, you can able to test any kind of web applications, either it is a conventional web application or a modern web application, you can test using Cypress. But Selenium can able to test only conventional web application, and it will not test modern web applications where you have this kind of modern objects like Angular objects or React objects. If you have, Selenium may not able to recognize those elements. So that is why we have all these testing frameworks nowadays that is available. Right. Okay. And so I'll just 1 second. Yeah. So hope you're getting any questions as of now. Let me take a pause. If you guys have any questions, hope you're getting.
Yes.
Okay, so please be interactive. I'll quickly share my screen also. Just let me know if you can able to see my screen. Yes, no?
Yes.
You can see.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so as I told you, the very first thing is Cypress is a open source test automation framework. It is an open source test automation framework. So second one is it is capable of testing modern web applications. That is something which is very, very important. Modern web applications. Hey, somebody have to go on mute, please. Right. Okay. So, and Cypress is capable of interacting with different browsers, right? Like other test automation tools, what we are aware of. And typically, if you see, Cypress uses JavaScript at the back end. Okay, so it's a JavaScript testing framework. It is not a tool, it is actually a framework, right? So it's a JavaScript testing framework. It is capable of testing web applications built on any technology. Right. So when I say any technology, it could be Java or Applet or like Angular or React, any technology people can use. If it is a web app, you can able to test with the help of Cypress. Right. And the scripting language, as I told you, the scripting language supported is JavaScript as well as TypeScript. So these are the two scripting languages supported, and primarily, like even if you write in TypeScript, what Cypress will do is it will convert into JavaScript so that it can able to understand and execute the script. Right. And One more main difference when you compare Cypress with Selenium is Cypress can interact directly with the web browsers, right? And as I told you, it is capable of testing modern web apps, which is based on React or like Angular frameworks, right? And one more thing here, as I told you, the very important thing is it can able to directly interact with browsers. When I say directly interact with browsers, this is not this is not possible with Selenium. So actually, if you could recollect in Selenium, what we do, if I want to interact my Selenium WebDriver API with Chrome browser, so what generally we do? So we will download the Chrome driver. We will have that driver in between. Only through the driver you can able to interact with the browser, right? So generally, you might have experienced when you work with Selenium, so you will get a lot of browser compatibility issues. So every now and then, what you need to do, you have to go download the latest drivers. If in case there is an upgrade that happens with the browser, Selenium will not interact with your browser. So you will get a lot of compatibility issues. Then every time we have to go and troubleshoot and find out whether the driver version and the browser version, whatever you have, all are correct, right? And if it is compatible. So those kind of headaches are not there in Cypress. You don't have the concept of downloading any drivers, right? So Cypress is directly capable of interacting with the web browsers, right? And one more thing, if you look into Selenium, so Selenium is the base for most of the web automation tools that we have nowadays, right? So I'm not very sure how many of you have heard about a tool called Protractor. See, Protractor is actually built on top of Selenium. Protractor is a tool. So now it is not there. So once Cypress came, Protractor is no more. Protractor was a tool which was mainly invented to test modern web apps, right? And it primarily uses Selenium. But Cypress, if you see, Cypress is a completely different tool. It has its own architecture, right? And it doesn't use a Selenium at its backend. So there is no comparison between Selenium and Cypress here. So because Cypress architecture is completely different from Selenium architecture, right? So Cypress has its own architecture, so which we will see, and so how the GUI looks like, or like how we can write test cases, we will see all that, right? It doesn't use a Selenium at its backend as like other UI test automation tools that we have in market today. Fine, right? Any questions as of now? So the next point what we discussed is Cypress. Cypress has its own architecture. Right. Any questions? Let me see the chat. There are some questions. Okay. Fine. Any questions? Can you guys just respond with yes or no, please?
No.
Fine. Great. Thank you so much. Okay. Fine. So next one is Cypress actually runs in the context of the browser. What do you mean by that? Any idea? Anybody? The next very important point is Cypress runs in the context of the browser. What do you mean by this? This is again a major difference between Selenium and Cypress. If you take Selenium, see, actually Selenium, what it does, generally we will have the WebDriver with us and you will have the browsers installed in your system, right? And typically what happens, Selenium doesn't have any interaction or like any relevance with the browser. So both are totally independent over there. So Selenium communicates with the browser which is there in your system via a driver, right? It means browser is not inbuilt in Selenium architecture, but in Cypress, it is different. Cypress runs on the same browser where your application is running. See, that is something which is very, very important when you do browser compatibility testing, or when you want to ensure that your web app is working exactly in the browser which it is going to run. It is something very important that you need to test in the actual browser where the application is going to run in the future. Right? It is not something like a simulated browser that you're going to run. But Cypress, what it will do is Cypress actually runs on the same browser where your application is running. Right? It uses the same browser. That is what it means. Cypress runs in the context of the browser. It runs on the same browser where your application is running. That means your application and your test case will actually run on the same browser. So one more thing, if you see here, it is faster compared to Selenium because it is not going to manage two different work in two different browsers. Actually, so when you see Cypress is much faster than Selenium because of this architectural difference. This is the major difference. Actually, Cypress runs in the context of the browser. What do we mean by this? Actually, the test case as well as the application both will run on the same browser. Right. Okay. The next very important thing is, so as like Selenium, see Selenium also has its own powerful commands. If you see Selenium, it has its own APIs, right? So similarly, Cypress also has its own rich set of powerful commands, right? And again, the commands, whatever you see here is much more simpler than Selenium, right? And Cypress has its own powerful commands, which can be used to execute any test case that you're going to write in the browser itself. But in Selenium, Selenium executes the command remotely using a Selenium server. Okay, but that is not the case here. Cypress is a standalone framework. Wherever you're going to execute your test cases, it will run in the same browser where your application is running. The architecture is very simple. So that is why Cypress is much more straightforward and it is faster when you compare with Selenium. Right. As I told you, Cypress is much more faster when you compare with Selenium. And when we talk about Cypress, as I told you, it's an open source test automation framework. But again, not all the features are open source. We also have something called as a licensed version. There are certain features like Cypress dashboard is there, so which is a licensed version. For that, you need to purchase the license where you can see the master dashboard on like how the execution, all that happens. You can collect the periodic history, everything using Cypress dashboard. So that specific feature is a licensed version which you need to purchase. Right. Any questions as of now? All good so far? Yes. No.
Yeah, right.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. So next is what kind of testing we can able to perform with Cypress, right? So mainly when you take Cypress, you can do end-to-end testing. End-to-end testing. So generally what we do, we call this as system testing or like product testing, anything. In manual testing, if you see, we call it a system testing, a complete business scenario testing that. So this is possible with the help of Cypress. You can able to do any kind of functional end-to-end testing with the help of Cypress, right? Apart from that, you can also perform component testing. component testing. So this is something like unit testing, right? So you can perform integration testing. All this you can able to do. So using Cypress, you can able to do end-to-end testing, component testing, integration testing, unit testing, all that you can able to do, right? So, but again, on web applications, that is something which is very important. As like Selenium, Cypress is meant for web app testing, right? And coming to the browser support. See, when we talk about web application, so web application can be loaded only in a browser. So the next question comes here is what kind of browsers that Cypress will support. Cypress typically supports the browsers, the common browsers that we generally use. The browsers that are supported as of now is Chrome. You can use Firefox. You can use Edge. There is also one inbuilt browser in Cypress called as Electron, right? So you can use Electron. There is a browser called Brave, right? So these are all the browsers commonly supported by Cypress, right? As I told you, it is capable of interacting with the browsers directly without the help of a browser driver. So I don't want to worry about where is the driver for Chrome or like where is the driver for Edge, and I don't want to again repeatedly go to the official website and check whether there is an update that has come, whether I got the new driver, nothing. So I don't want to break my head on the compatibility issues because Cypress is capable of directly interacting with the browsers without the help of browser drivers, right? And Cypress supports cross-browser testing. So we will talk about cross-browser testing later, like how to test one application with different browsers, compatibility testing. So that is something which is very, very important when you do a web app testing, right? So whatever the functionality, whatever the application that you're going to test, so that should work with all common browsers that you are using. So it supports cross-browser compatibility testing. And so you can able to test your applications in various browsers, whatever I have listed here, right? And one more very, very important feature of Cypress is, see, when you execute itself, Cypress has the capability to automatically take the screenshots of your application. So Cypress is capable of taking, I'll just make a note of all this. Cypress is capable of taking automatic screenshots. Right. So Selenium is not capable of doing all this. So in Selenium, if you want to take a screenshot, so you need to write four lines of code. Right. So there is a specific interface there. So there is a method like get screenshot as method if you want to take screenshot. Right. And you need to implement the same thing with Java logic where you need to take your screenshot and you need to associate with the timestamp. Here, nothing. Right. So there is a simple settings. By default, what Cypress will do is it will automatically take the screenshots during the test run. So this feature in Cypress is called as time travel. Right. So time travel is a feature in Cypress, which is mainly used to take automatic screenshots during your test run. Right. So one more thing, once the test run has been completed, once if your test case, whatever you have created, so once the test run completes, we can able to see this screenshots, what was captured by Cypress, and you can able to see all that in a section called command log. So I'll show you all that. You don't want to worry. So as of now, if you want, you can just make a note of all that. So there is a section in your test log called command log. In command log, you can able to see all your screenshots that was captured automatically during the test run. Right. And one more very important thing. Okay. And one more thing which I like the most in Cypress is its debugging feature. Debugging feature. Right. So see here in Cypress, what we can able to do is, say for example, there is a button, right? So there is a OK button in your application. So where you have created an automation logic to click this OK button. Right, so you have created a simple piece of code. You have written an automation code to identify this element and go and click that specific element. So in Cypress, what we can able to do is we can able to see the state of this element, this application element, before and after executing the command. Say, for example, I have written a logic, go to this OK button and perform click operation. Right, I will actually show you the exact method how to write, but as of now I'm just taking this as an example. I have written a code something like OK.click. Right, so what this statement will do is this will go and perform a click operation on this specific element. So if you go to the test log, right, so we can able to see the state of this application, see how this application looked before performing this click and after performing this click. Right. So this is something which will really help you out when you troubleshoot object recognition issues. Right. So many a times in Selenium, so you might have encountered stale element exception or like invalid selector exception. So there will be a lot of exceptions which comes because of that your element will not get interacted, right? So generally what we will do, we will go to Google, we will try to understand. So we will see the application state. There won't be any test logs coming, but in Cypress, it is very, very easy. It saves your time. So this debugging feature is something which is really good. You can able to see the state of the application before executing that specific command and after executing that command. So this automatically comes. So you don't want to write any logic for all this. This and all, whatever I am saying automatically comes in Cypress. Right. Okay. And one more thing is like, so if there is a problem with any specific element, just one click, it will give you the complete track screen. It will completely give you the stack trace of the element. So what happened, what is the architecture of that element? It will show you everything so that you can identify what went wrong. Right. And so one more thing is like Cypress is a very stable web automation framework, and it is fast, as I told you. So when it is meant for modern web app testing, especially when you work with elements with Angular or React objects, right? And the chances of getting flaky tests are very minimal. But the same thing if you take a modern web app and if you try to test with Selenium, so you will get lot of flaky test. So what do you mean by flaky test? Anybody knows? You know what is flaky
It's
test?
like intermittent issues.
Sorry?
It's like intermittent issues. Sometimes pass, sometimes fail.
Very good, very good. See, sometimes without making any changes in your test, sometime when you execute, it will say pass, and again, like the next run, if you say it will again say fail. Right? So you will get surprised what went wrong suddenly within 2 minutes. And again, if you rerun, you may get either pass or fail. So this is what we call as flaky test. So because automatic waits or like automatic synchronization is not there in Selenium. So generally, you will get a lot of object recognition issues in Selenium when you specifically have this kind of modern web elements, right? But this kind of problems are majorly avoided, majorly eliminated in Cypress. So today's web apps, if you see, you don't get conventional web applications. So that'll be 1 or 2 pages. But again, if you see overall as a web app, you will find a lot of web application which was built using the modern technologies like Angular or AngularJS or React objects. So it is very important to use Cypress so that you will not get any kind of flaky test. Right. Okay. So and one more feature in Cypress is it uses 2 different modes. All right. So what you can do, 2 different modes for executing your test, for typically for test execution. So one is the GUI mode. So Cypress, as I told you already, it has its own GUI, right? So you can execute your test through the Cypress GUI, or otherwise you can also execute using Cypress CLI. That means command line. You can also use command line to execute your Cypress test cases. So when you see more than GUI, CLI will be much more faster. So because when you use CLI, it will not capture any videos or like screenshots. So if you want to execute something very fast, and if you want to just understand whether the functionality, everything is working correctly, always you can prefer CLI mode. That is using command line. Right. So we will talk about all that. We will see how to execute the test runs using GUI mode, using CLI mode, all that I will talk. No worries. Right. Okay. And one more thing, even in CLI also, so whenever you execute any test cases, even it is much more faster. And if in case you want to execute, or if you want to generate screenshots also using command line mode, so that is also possible. Right. As I told you, Cypress has an automatic wait feature. So so it will automatically wait. Most of the times you will not get synchronization issues, right? So generally when you use assertions and all, we will talk in the next class. Assertions is something like checking whether an element is satisfying a specific conditions and all that. So when you generally use assertions, automatically the synchronizations and all will be taken care of. So if in case the expected and actual is not matching, automatically Cypress, what it will do, it will not immediately populate an error as like Selenium. So it will wait for a specific reasonable timeout, then only it will give you an error, right? So it will automatically wait. It has an automatic wait feature whenever there is a mismatch happening, right? So like Selenium, in Selenium, what generally we do, we will add something like implicit wait or like explicit wait. So here, as like Selenium, we don't want to carefully use those commands, right? So generally in Selenium, see, I have experience, I'm just talking from my experience. Typically, there are many cases where you don't even feel that will be a synchronization issue. So you will get some problem somewhere in some statement. And if you just add a thread.sleep, or if you just add an implicit or explicit wait, after troubleshooting maybe for 2 days, 3 days, you can able to see that error will not come, right? So those kind of issues will generally kill your time, right? So you will not even have a guess that it will be a synchronization issue. So those kind of problems will never come in Cypress, right? So especially we don't want to add this explicit wait commands and all that, right? So these are all the core features of Cypress when you compare with Selenium. So as most of you guys are coming from Selenium background, I'm just taking Selenium as an example and I'm just relating it with Selenium. So hope you are clear. So let me take a quick pause. If in case you have any questions, concerns, please let me know. Otherwise, we will move forward. All good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Fine. Okay. And the prerequisites. So what actually I need if I want to configure Cypress in my system? So as I told you, Cypress is a open source test automation tool. It supports multiple operating systems, as like Selenium. Cypress also supports multiple operating systems. So it supports Windows, it supports Mac OS, and it also supports Linux, right? So when we talk about the prerequisites mainly for Windows, when I talk about the prerequisites, so when I say for Windows, so it supports Windows 7 and above, right? It will not support Windows less than 7, because Cypress was actually launched in 2018, 2017 actually. It got officially licensed in 2018, right? So whatever operating system logically we had before that, it will not support, right? So it supports Windows 7 and above, and especially 64-bit. This is something which is very important. If in case you have a rare chance again, if in case you have a 32-bit operating system, generally Cypress will not support it, right? So you need to have a 64-bit operating system. So when we talk about Mac OS actually it supports 10 and above, right? And again, here also it is 64-bit only, right? And so when we talk about Linux, it supports Ubuntu Linux, which is version 12 and above. Okay. So similarly, it also supports Fedora license, Fedora Linux. This also it supports, and there is something called Debian. It supports Debian also, right? So all 64-bit. It doesn't support 34-bit operating system. Right. So these are all the prerequisites. So mainly we will concentrate on Windows, as we all are working with Windows. We will talk about how to work Cypress with Windows. If in case you have Mac operating systems, everything remains the same as of Windows, especially whatever you do in command prompt here. So there in Mac OS, you need to do in terminal. That's it. Otherwise, all the commands are same. Okay. So the next one is Cypress installation. Okay. So how to install Cypress? So when we talk about installation, fine. One more very important thing. Cypress is actually a Node program. Okay. It is actually a Node program. So the main prerequisite for having Cypress or for running Cypress is in your system, you need to have Node.js installed. If you don't have Node.js, Cypress will not run. So this is the major prerequisite for Cypress. You need to have Node.js installed in your system. Right. And when we talk about Node.js, so this version should be 10 and above. So this is the main prerequisite for installing Cypress. The very first thing is in your system, you need to check whether you have Node. I'll show you in a while how to check. If in case you don't have Node, we have to install Node.js, right? And when we talk about installing, so there are two ways how you can install Cypress, right? The first one is what you can do. You can install Node.js in your system, Node.js, and through command line, what you can do. So through command line, we can install Cypress. Okay, so this is the most preferred way, most powerful and easiest way, and most preferred or recommended way, I would say, to install Cypress. The second way is you can directly download the setup and say double click next from the official website. Right. So the official website, if you see, it is cypress.io. Like how for Selenium we have Selenium dev. Similarly for Cypress, you will get, see, whatever information that I'm talking, it is available in cypress.io, right? And possibly this may get changed in the future. So because Cypress is again open source test automation framework, when we talk about any open source framework, generally it is susceptible to changes, right? So anytime anything can happen. So tomorrow there may be a new support coming in, or probably they may deprecate an existing support. So anytime, like when you are working with Cypress, probably maybe after 6 months or 1 year. So always I would recommend you to refer the documentation for the latest prerequisites and the support. Right. So as I told you, the most common and recommended way for installing Cypress is through this method, right? Node.js. So we need to first check whether in our system we have Node.js, which is a 10 and above. And if in case you don't have Node.js, we need to install it. Right. Any questions as of now before we actually go and check? Yes, no. Hope you're getting. The session is not boring.
Hi, Remy. Yes. Prabhu here.
Hey, hi, Prabhu.
Yeah, Remy, I have a question with respect to the Windows compatibility of the Cypress. So this Windows 7 and above is also will support for Windows Server also, right? There will not be no issue. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. This is one thing. And with respect to the installation, so I'm just considering, since you have said that we need to install Node.js, so Cypress is built with Node.js. That is the reason we are installing it. There is no, right? Okay. So,
so because Cypress actually it's a Node program.
Node. Okay.
Okay. So if at all in our system we don't have Node.js, we may not able to install Cypress, or probably we may not able to run any Cypress program. Right. So that is the basic prerequisite. So what very first thing that we need to do is to check whether we have Node. So how to check Node? We can simply open our command prompt, just type CMD. You will get the command prompt. Right. And simply you can execute any Node command. I will say node -- version. Right. If in case you have Node in your system, it will give you the version. So if you see in my system, I have Node.js installed. So it is giving me a version. So you guys can also parallelly check. I'll tell you, no worries. If in case you don't have Node in your system, no worries. I will help you out how to install Node. I will also tell you now, if in case you don't have Node, I'll also give you time to set up Node in your system. No worries. So you can just make a note. I'll give you time for everything. Right. And the very first thing is like you need to check. See, I'm just executing a Node command, a very simple Node command to check what version of Node is there in my system. So I'm getting a response which says 18 version is there. So as I can able to understand, Node 10 and above is more than enough for me to work with what is that, Cypress. So I'm quite happy. I have the latest version 18.
Okay.
Right. And if in case you don't have Node in your system, you will get a message saying that Node is an unrecognized command. So you will get a message from your operating system saying that, hey, I don't understand what you're typing here.
Okay.
Right. So in that case, what we have to do is we need to install Node. Right. So how to install Node, I will tell you in a moment. But before that, so if you have Node, you will also have something called as Node Package Manager, NPM. Right. See, this is completely different from Selenium. So we are slightly moving from Selenium now. So far we could able to relate things, but now whatever we are going to see in Selenium, what generally we'll do is we will have Java configured. So the main prerequisite is you need to have Java in your system. So then probably we will install an IDE like Eclipse or something. So then what we will do, we will go there and create a Maven project, add the Selenium dependencies, directly go and create a class file. Write our test scripts, right? But here it is completely different. So since Cypress is a Node project, the main prerequisite here is to have Node in your system. So that is something that we are checking now. If in case you have Node, you will also have something called as NPM, Node Package Manager. Node Package Manager is a tool in Node which is used to install other packages. Right. So we can also check the version of Node Package Manager. I can simply say npm, either say -- version, or otherwise simply you can say -v, right? And if this is also giving you a response with some version, that means npm is also there. So you can now able to see in my system, I can able to see both Node as well as npm. See, Node is something which is very basic. That is a kind of a platform which is mainly used for us to install Cypress. And second one is npm. npm is a package manager. npm is a kind of tool, I would say, which is mainly used to install any packages inside Node. A very simple thing is Now, after having Node in my system, what I will do is I will install Cypress. To install Cypress, I need to have NPM. So NPM, again, it will come automatically when you install Node. Sounds good?
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, basically this question comes from the first slide, what we have discussed. The language that it is support is JavaScript and TypeScript, right?
Yeah.
So Node is one such framework that supports JavaScript, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
so this, for example, that the developing the script can be at different place and we can execute it with the Node supported Cypress.
Yes.
Am I putting it in a right way?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You are
Okay,
absolutely
fine.
right.
Thank you. This is my question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Remy.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? This is all good? Yes, no, unless or until you say yes or no, I don't understand.
Fine for me so far. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, guys. Okay, fine. Now, I'll just give you 2 minutes. Could you just quickly check and confirm me whether you have Node in your system? This is the command. Hope you can able to see. If you want, I'll just maximize it. Just open your command prompt. Just check quickly. And can you just confirm me either on the chat or you can just say a yes or a no.
So I have some 14 plus version of Node and
no problem.
6.14 of NPM.
No problem. Okay. Okay, I do not have Node in my system. Srikanth says yes. No. Mary Divya says Node NPM existing in my machine. Yes. I don't have Node. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. People who have slightly explored Cypress, you might have installed. Okay. No worries. Okay. So many of you guys are saying no. I will also help you out how to install Node. So what you can do is simply open your command prompt. Sorry, go to a browser and simply say download. Yeah, Node.js. So you can simply say download Node.js. It will take you to the official. You can just I'll give you time. So you don't want to do anything in a hurry or like parallelly you don't want to do anything. Just watch like what I'm doing. So you can just simply type download Node.js. And this is the official website of Node.js. You can say nodejs.org. Just click this download. So if you click this download, it will take you to the official website of Node.js. And again, you can see here for Windows, Mac, all that. So you can just click on the Windows installer. So if you just click, automatically the setup will download. So you can just say next to install it. So I also have taken a screenshot. I have created one document as a Node.js installation guide. I'll quickly walk you through that also. So I have captured the moment like when I installed it. One second. Yeah. So hope you can able to see here.
You can click on the enable editing. We will be able to zoom it.
Just checking, but this window is not moving down.
That you have to click on the enable editing. Click on that.
I could not able to see enable editing here.
Is it okay? We are able to.
Yeah, I can see the menu on top of it.
Okay. Maybe you would have to stop sharing.
Yeah, that is what I think. Yeah, just 1 second. I'll just stop my sharing and yeah, I will do that. 1 second. Yeah, I'll now share again.
Yes, we are able to see.
Yeah. So now if you see, so once you download the setup, just double click that. It will take you through this wizard. So you can just simply click next, accept the agreement. Yeah, just read the agreement, just accept it, say next. And you can choose a destination folder. So my recommendation is don't change anything. So by default, it will install in program files with the Node.js folder getting created, and just accept everything. It will automatically add the Node.js setup to your environment variable. By default, it will add to the path. So you don't want to add anything. So if you just open a command prompt in any location, if you simply type node -v, it could able to recognize, right? So just say next and next. So don't check this. We don't want to install anything like chocolatey. We don't want anything for Cypress. You can just by default it will be unchecked. So you can just have as it is, say next and say install. So in just few minutes, so it will get installed, and finally you will get a message Node.js got installed successfully, right? So that's it. Then what you do, whatever command prompt was opened, you close your command prompt, open a new fresh command prompt, then try the command, you will get the response. Something like this. Is it clear?
Yes, I know.
Right. Fine. So please do that. I'll wait for a while. So once you are done with that, and if you get a response from your command prompt that node is there, so please ping me. So we will take 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes for this activity. So once you're done with that, we will move on to the next step. The very first step for Cypress installation is you need to have Node.js in your system. Right. Once you are done, just let me know. I'll stop sharing as of now. If you have any doubts also, so please share your screen and let me know. I will help you out. Okay, Alvin have installed, Ebenezer have installed. Yeah, thanks guys. What about others? Yeah, if you have done, just type on the chat, or otherwise just confirm with the S. Hey, thanks, Udita. Thanks, Ulesh. Thanks, Bhavya. Okay, Namir also says yes. Okay. So if in case if it is existing, so please check the version also. So whether it has the compatibility. Right. What about others? Arjun, Arti, Arun Vijay Kumar. Yeah, Arun says you have it in my system. Okay, good. What about others? Okay. Harshita, Anisha, Jayashree. Okay. Great. Okay. So I believe you understood and like, so you got the response now. Fine. Okay. So now what we have done, so we got the Node.js installed. The next very important thing what we need to do is we need to have a ID, like how in Selenium what we did. We generally go with Eclipse, right? So because so in Selenium, so the main scripting language what we use is Java, right? And the very popular IDE for creating Java programs is nothing but Eclipse. But Cypress, the script mainly what we are going to write is in JavaScript. It is always better to go with an IDE which supports JavaScript, which is meant to write JavaScript programs. So a popular IDE which is mainly used is Visual Studio Code. Right. So that is the IDE that we are going to use. We can also use Eclipse, but again, like Eclipse goes with plugins, and it will not provide the complete support, or like you may not able to get the complete advantage of JavaScript over there. So I generally recommend to go with Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code is again open source IDE as like Eclipse. So you can also download Visual Studio Code from internet, right? So that is the next step. Once if you have Node.js installed, the second prerequisite is you need to download Visual Studio Code from internet, right? So for that, what you have to do, I'll quickly share my screen and show you. Just let me know if you can able to see my screen. Yes, no?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so next is I'll type Visual Studio Code download. So you can go to this official website of code.visualstudiocode, visualstudio.com. You can click on this first link, download Visual Studio Code. If you go there, you can download this. And so you will have for Windows, you will have for Mac and Linux, right? And so for Windows, so you can typically go with the, you have for user installer and system installer. So the main difference between this user installer and system installer is user is for a specific user in your system, right? So suppose you are using a shared machine where you and multiple other folks also log in with their credentials. So user installer will install only for you, right? But system installer is something like which will work for any user in your system. So I have installed system installer. So anyway, like I'm the only user in my laptop, but still, so like if you don't have that kind of restrictions where any user who logs into your system can use, you can download this, and you download the x64 version, right? So this again, you will get a setup. So again, once you get the setup, I have a file for that also for Visual Studio Code. Again, here also, what you need to do, so you have to just accept the agreement. Once if you double click, it will ask you for a license agreement. So you can just accept the agreement and just define the path where you want to have this VS Code. It is a product of Microsoft, but again, it is a open source version, VS Code, right? And so you can just say next, right? So don't check any check boxes. By default, add to path will be enabled. You just leave as it is, say next, right? And if you just come down, you will have an install button. Just click install, wait for 2-3 minutes. It will automatically get installed. Say finish. That's it. Visual Studio Code will launch, something like this. So you will get Visual Studio Code like this for the very first time. So you will get a welcome screen and all that. So you just get the screen. I'll let you know what you need to do next, right? So this is the second step that we have to do. The very first step is we need to have Node.js installed. The second step is we need to have an ID, right? Can you do this? Right. So once you complete this, just type on the chat. We will move on next. Hey guys, how is the session going? Able to follow? All good?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Fine. So once you complete, just type on the chat. Okay. So many of you guys say it's done or already installed. So we'll give one more minute for others to respond. Right. We'll wait for one moment. So in the meantime, if you guys have any questions or anything, you can just ask me. Okay, fine. So I believe for most of you have done and you have Visual Studio Code installed. Okay, I'll quickly share my screen. Just let me know if you can able to see my screen.
Able to read.
Fine, thank you. Okay, so now, so this is my Visual Studio Code. So I have installed. So when I open, the very first thing in Visual Studio Code, as I told you, Cypress commands are typically written in JavaScript or TypeScript, right? And VS Code or Visual Studio Code is a open source IDE which mainly supports JavaScript and TypeScript. So that is the reason we are preferring this specific IDE to write our Cypress commands, right? The very first thing what we need to do is you may have a welcome screen coming over here, so you can just close it. I already have a project here, but no worries, I will start from the scratch. I'll show you how to create a project. So as like Eclipse, like how we do in VS Code also, it follows a structure. The very first thing is we need to create a project. There are many ways how you can create the project. I'll tell you the easiest way how we can do it is the very first step. What you need to do after downloading or installing Visual Studio Code is we need to create a new project, right? So the easiest way what we can do is we can prefer a location. So for example, if you see in my case, I have created a folder called Cypress project, and I can have all my projects over here. And typically we will be working with one project, right? And what I can do, I can create my project folder here. So already I have one project. I will create a new folder. I will start everything from scratch. I will say this is, let's say, project 2, right? And this is the project which I am interested in. What I can do is I can open this project in VS Code. So I can create an empty folder in any of my preferred location. So then what I can do, I can come to VS Code and I can open that project folder. I can come to file and I have an option open folder. So if I come to file, open folder, and I can just simply select my project folder and say select folder. So automatically you can able to see it have opened your project, and you will get a message, do you trust the authors of the files in this folder, right? So you can just confirm, yes, I trust the authors. So, and you can able to see this project we have opened in VS Code, right? So this is the next step that you need to do. You have to open VS Code and create a new project. So this is what we have done, right? Next, the next thing, I can close the welcome screen, and what I can do, 1 second. Just give me a moment. Okay, so I think this bar is troubling me. I'll just stop sharing. I'll tell you what exactly you have to do. Okay, so if you see in your Visual Studio Code at the top, you will find something called as terminal. Okay, so terminal is like a command window which comes along with Visual Studio Code. So you click that terminal, you will have an option called new terminal. New terminal, if in case you are trying, so please click that terminal, new terminal. I will now share my screen. Right. So hope you can able to see my screen now. So in the above menu bar, you will find terminal. Just say terminal, new terminal. right? So the moment I click terminal, new terminal, I can able to see what is that? A command line coming over here, right? So here, what we have to do is we have to type a command that is npm. Npm is mainly used to create anything in this project. See, as of now, it is just a folder, right? This project 2 is not a node project. Okay, so it is not any kind of project. It is simply a folder. We simply created a folder in one location, and I have opened that folder in Visual Studio Code. The very first thing what I need to do is I need to convert this to a node project, right? So how to convert this to a node project? I need to issue a command npm init. That means initialize with all the defaults. That is why I'm saying -y. So if you don't say -y, if you hit enter, it will ask you few questions. You need to always agree to it. So it will convert this to a node project. So this is what we are going to do. npm space init -y. So this command, what it will do is it will create a node project. So it will convert this project to a node project, and you can able to see a new file called package.json will get added to this project. If you get a file called package.json, that means it is a node project. Hope you're getting what I'm saying. If you want, I'll repeat again. You're getting what I'm saying?
Can you please repeat once more?
Yeah. So what we have done is step 1. I'll just okay, I'll take a new whiteboard. Okay, so I'll just tell the steps what we have done. The very first thing what we have done is we have to install Node.js. Node.js. This is what we have done. And the second one is we need to install VS Code, Visual Studio Code. This is nothing but an IDE which supports writing JavaScript and TypeScript programs. Right. So the third thing what we have done is we need to create a folder in VS Code, which is nothing but our project folder. Right. So how to do this? What we have done? So for this, we have created the folder in our system. Folder we created in our system. Then what we did? We opened that folder, opened in VS Code. So this is what I can now able to see. So if you look at here, this folder, if I just maximize this, nothing will be there. Can you see here? Nothing is coming inside. It is an empty project folder. Now, if I want to write a JavaScript program, or like if I want to write anything or any Cypress commands, the next very important thing what I need to do is I need to convert this folder. I need to have a node project. It should not be a normal folder. I need to have a node project. If you want to have a node project, you need to issue a command npm init. That means initialize -y. So if you issue this command, what it will do? It will create a node project. What do you mean by a node project? It will have a file called package.json. What is this package.json and all? We will see later. So if any project folder has a package.json file, that means it is a node project. You got it now?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now what I will do, I will come here and I will issue this command npm init -y and hit enter. One second. Npm init -y, hit enter. Now just wait. Yeah. Now you can able to see. See, suppose if you click this up arrow button, it will maximize the terminal to the entire screen. Right. Now you see, this is that package. Can you see now in project 2, it have created a file called package.json, and this is the file structure. Right. And if you look at the file structure very carefully, it will have a key and a value. It is nothing but a JSON. JSON means JavaScript object notation. So this is a file which always contain any information as key and value pair. So whatever you see at the left side is the key, and whatever you see at the right side is the value. Okay, by default it is saying name. The name is project 2 and it has a default version. If you want, you can change this, and there is a description. If you want to give any meaningful description, what is this project all about, you can give all that. So we will see later, right? So how to modify, or like what is all this in this package.json, what is the significance of all this, we will see later. But as of now, if you have any folder with a package.json file, that means it is a Node project. So the very first thing what we need to do is we need to have a Node project created. Right. If I want to relate it with Selenium, see in Selenium what we will do, if I want to create a Selenium project, the very first thing what we will do is we will create a Maven project, right? So how do you know it is a Maven project? In Maven project, we will have lot of default folders and files. So if you could see, you will find a folder called src main Java. So src main resources, src test Java, src test resources. So you will get a by default template, right? And any Maven project, if you create, it will have a important file called pom file, pom.xml file, right? So as similar as pom.xml file, in a Node project, we have a file called package.json. Like how you manage all the dependencies in pom.xml file in Selenium. Similarly, whatever dependencies that you're going to add, you will add everything in package.json. So this package.json is nothing but a kind of dependency file which we use in Selenium Java, something similar to pom.xml file. Can you able to relate now? Yes, no.
Yes, Rami.
Right. Okay. So as I told you, this package.json is nothing but a dependency management file, right? So we can also execute this command from command line. See, it is not necessary that we need to execute this npm init y only from the terminal inside VS Code. You can also run outside. You can just take a command prompt, go to this location in command prompt and simply issue a command. It will automatically reflect here. See, that is also possible. So you can take a normal command prompt from your system, go to this directory, and you can say npm init y. It will create a Node project for you. Right. So one more thing, if you observe in your Node, right? See, these are all some tips, you know, like when you work in projects, sometimes this will irritate you. So you will have the size, which is very small, right? By default, you will not get whatever size that you see here, right? Normally what happens when you write anything in your VS Code, if you want to change the font, you can go to the settings actually. So you will find a wheel icon here. If you click the settings, you can go to settings. You can go to settings and simply type font and hit enter. It will give you font 5. There are 5 options regarding font. If you click that, there is a font size. So here you can change this font size. See, this what it will do is it will reflect in this body, whatever font, right? If you write a program here, it will be applicable. This font will be applicable for the program. But whatever changes you make here, it will not affect in your terminal, right? Hope you're getting. So if you try to change here, nothing will happen here. Okay. So if you want to manage the font in terminal, or if you need to change the font size in terminal, what you need to do is you need to open a file called settings.json in VS Code, right? So how to get that? What I can do, if I want to open this settings.json file, you can open very easily using a section called command palette. So what is this command palette? You can simply press Ctrl+Shift+P in your keyboard. You will get this command palette. So you will get a tab like this. This is what we call as command palette. Okay. So there you type, what you need to type is, you need to type something called user settings. Open user settings. Actually, I have opened recently, so that is why it is showing. I'll type here what exactly you need to do. Okay. So I believe you understood what is package.json. So suppose if you need to change the font size of terminal in VS Code, right? So what you have to do is you cannot directly change in settings. So you need to make the changes in a file called settings.json. Settings.json. So where is this file? How to locate this file? For this, what we have to do is you have to open command palette. Command palette in your VS Code. How to open command palette? You can use the shortcut key Ctrl+Shift+P. This will open command palette. So once you open command palette, what you do, you simply type user settings JSON. You will find this option. The moment you type user, you will get this option coming. Right. So I will just open that file. Just give me a moment. I will just, you can also try. I will just stop sharing for a while. And I will go to that location. Shift+P, open user settings JSON. I'll now share my screen. Just let me know if you can able to see my screen. Can you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now, once you click that, it will open the settings.json. So this is the file, and you will see an empty file, settings.json. What I can do is I can go inside this file and I can add one command, that is terminal dot integrated, it will come integrated, one second, dot font size. Can you see here? You can able to make the changes here. Terminal dot integrated dot font size. By default, it is 14. 14 is the default font. This is how it will come. If you want to change here, you can change this to any size. So suppose if I say 16, and if I save this file, automatically in the terminal, it will reflect. Suppose if I say 18, let's say it will reflect. Can you see? Right. So this are some small tips which will be really helpful when you work in a very big project, right? So because when you take VS Code, there will be a lot of commands that you need to execute. There will be a lot of results that you need to analyze from your terminal. Always, it is good that you have a decent font size, right? So this is how you can do it. You can just make a note of this command. You have to go to settings.json and you need to add a command terminal.integrated.font_size: whichever font you want, and simply save that file immediately in your terminal. It will reflect. So this settings is mainly for terminal. Is this clear? All done? Good. Yes. And this font, the code font, if you want to change, so you can go to your settings and in the font size here you can change. So here I can simply say 18, change it. This will reflect. This, this will change. This is font 8. Okay. Any doubts as of now? Yes, no? Been able to do it? Or you want some time to try all this? Hey guys, please respond. Gone tired, is it? You want a break?
It's fine so far, Remy.
Okay. Okay, so we'll take a break, not an issue. So we'll take time is okay, 7:47. Shall we take a short break till 8 o'clock? Is that fine?
Yeah, that is fine, Ravi. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take a 10 to 15 minutes break, not a problem. So you join by 8:85. So post to that, what we will do, so we will see how to install Cypress and take it forward from there. Right, so we'll join back by 8:05. Fine, guys. Hey guys, shall we start? Okay, fine. So we shall start. Second. Fine. So we understood how to create a node project, and so like what is this package.json, and how to increase the font size of your terminal, all that we have seen. So now what we have to do is we need to install Cypress. So that is the next thing. After creating a node project, what we have to do is we need to install Cypress. Okay, I'll just share my screen. So let me know if you can able to see my screen. Just confirm.
Yes, we are able to see a screen.
Yeah, thank you. Fine. So next is we have to install Cypress. So how to install Cypress? You can use npm command. As I told you already, npm is nothing but a node package manager. So using which npm, what you can do, you can install Cypress. As I told you already, Cypress is a Node program. So I can simply say npm install. This is the command, and I can simply say Cypress. Okay, so to install Cypress in my project. So just hit enter. So what this will do, this will install the latest version of Cypress. So it will automatically download from internet and it will install Cypress to this folder. Just wait for the confirmation. So the moment it starts installing, you can also able to see some modules coming here. So something like node modules, all that. So this will have all the relevant dependency files, all that. Okay. So now it got installed and I got a message. If I just maximize my terminal, I can able to see it says 0 vulnerabilities found and this many packages got added, right? So the only thing is like you should not get any errors, and during this installation, internet should not trouble you, right? So once this gets installed, so that means you have Cypress. So suppose if your project requires a specific version to get installed, so probably like you don't want to go with the latest installation, so you have a specific installation which your project demands to install. So in that case, what you can do, you can simply say npm install okay, npm, you can say npm install Cypress, and you can continue saying at symbol and whichever version, so that you're looking at, say if you want to install some specific version, you can say this way, right? So Cypress at that version number. So this automatically what it will do is it will install that version of Cypress, right? So we have installed the latest version. So if in case you want to check which is the latest version, you can just issue this command. You can just say npx Cypress -v. So npx is generally used to run npm commands locally on your system, right? So that is why I'm using npx. Cypress -v, if I say, it will tell which version of Cypress is installed. So let me check what is the latest version. So it is 12.17. So this is the latest version. And by default, along with Cypress, this Electron browser will also come by default, and it have also installed the latest Electron version browser. Right. Okay, so one more very important thing before we actually confirm Cypress is ready in our system, what we can do is I can also issue one command npx Cypress verify, right? So this command is mainly used to check everything is fine with Cypress, whether all the required libraries are added automatically, and there is no issues, so that so we can confirm and we are ready to start creating our first test case, right? So let's check what it is giving. I will simply say npx Cypress verify and wait for a while. So this will check whether everything is fine in Cypress, and if everything is fine, so I will get a message verified Cypress, right? So that means all good and all dependencies are added, and now we have set Cypress and we have created our environment, we have installed Cypress, and we are all set to create our first test case, right? All good. So any questions as of now till here? I'll just give you 2 minutes. Just complete this. If in case you have not done parallelly along with me, just complete this and ensure that your Cypress is also ready, so that we can start creating our first automation test script. I'll just stop my screen till you complete. Just confirm me if you have completed Cypress installation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Srikanth. Right. Yeah. So many people says done. Very good. Okay. So now again, I'll quickly share my screen. So I hope you all have done the installation and there is no issues. Things are working fine. Okay. So now what we have to do is once you get verified Cypress, things are all fine. Now I can issue one more command, npx Cypress open. So what this command will do is this will create a complete Cypress project structure in our project folder, right? So in this folder, it will create a proper structure to create the test cases, all that. And it will also open a Cypress GUI, right? It will open a Cypress GUI. So as I told you initially during our introduction, so it is not as like Selenium. So in Cypress, we also have a app version. So that is the GUI version. So this command will actually open the Cypress editor, right? So if I say nps Cypress open, hit enter, just wait for a while. It will now open the Cypress app. You are now able to see this is the Cypress app. I'll just maximize my screen. Right. So the moment it opens, this is the Cypress app. You will find all this menu options, file, edit, view, window. You can able to see your project name, the version of Cypress, and if you want to go to the official documentation, you can go here. And so it also provides you an option, as I told you. You can do end-to-end testing or like component testing. See, component testing is nothing but unit testing. In end-to-end testing, you can able to do both the complete integration testing or like system testing, anything that whatever you want to do, you can do. Right. So we are very much interested this end-to-end testing. So mainly we will not do component testing that is done by developers. End-to-end testing, it says not configured. Let me click on this, click on end-to-end testing. Just wait for a while. Okay, see, automatically what it will do is it will add a few configuration files. So as I told you already, this is nothing but the project structure of Cypress. By default, it will add a file called cypress.config. Any kind of configuration specific to that project, if you want to do, you can add in this config file. So we will see the uses of all these files in the upcoming sessions, or like whenever there is a situation, I'll explain you there. And this e2e.js is typically a support file, so which is otherwise called as a spec file. So we technically call this as a spec file. And command.js, it will have the custom commands, the Cypress commands, the most used commands. And like if this section is mainly used, if you want to create any kind of a customized user library, if you want to create, you can come and create here. And by default, they also give you an example.json file. So all this we will see later. But as of now, I will simply accept this project structure. I will click on continue. It will now add all these relevant files to my project structure. And it will now show me which browser. As I told you already, by default, this Electron comes from Cypress. Apart from that, this Chrome or like Edge or Firefox, it comes based on the browsers which is installed in your system, right? So in my system, I have Chrome, the latest version, or the Edge, or this Firefox, all this. So that is why it is showing here. So this three comes from our system, and Electron by default comes from Cypress, right? So in the meantime, what we will do, we will quickly go and check the project structure also. So now if you look at the project structure, you can able to see all the configuration files got added. Like by default, you can able to see a Cypress, inside that a fixture support file, this node modules, and you can able to see a config.js file. So all these files which was asking us to allow, so we allowed all that to build a Cypress project structure. Like how in Selenium, when you create a Maven project, it will by default give you a project structure like src main Java, or like src main resources, test Java, test resources. These are all the files which are mainly used to modularize your project structure. Right. Okay. So what we can do is now coming back to our app. I can select anything like Chrome or Firefox. I'll just go with Firefox. I want to do some testing with Firefox. So by default, I'll just click Firefox and I will say start end-to-end testing in Firefox. So this will open the Firefox. So you can now able to see it will open the Firefox in my system, and it tells go and create your first spec. Spec is nothing but the test case. Right. So in Cypress, the test case, whatever we are going to write. So like in Java, how we technically call a test case as a class file in Java. So here we call it as a spec file. Right. So by default, you will find two sections. One is like this example specs. This is something which was given by Cypress only. You will have plenty of examples which will help you out to understand many features of Cypress, right? So if you want to add this example specs to your project folder, you can just click this. Create new spec will typically create altogether a new spec file where we can go and write all the test cases on our own, right? So what we will do, we will go with create a new spec file, because everything we need to start from scratch. So I'm just going with create new spec file. The moment you click that, it will ask you for a name, right? So in Cypress folder, you will by default have a end-to-end testing folder structure. Inside that, it creates a file like this, spec.cy.js. This is the recommended structure, the file structure provided by Cypress. That is, you can give a file name, any name you can give. So that is why it is saying spec.cy represents it is a Cypress file and it is a JavaScript file .js. So this is the folder structure. I will simply create a spec. That means it will create this file in this project folder. I will say create spec. So by default, what it will do, it will give me a simple script. I will talk about what is all this later. What is this describe block? What is this it block, IT, all this. But as of now, just accept it. By default, what Cypress will do is it will also create a demo test for us, right? So what it will typically do is it will open this URL. So by default, there is a demo application provided by Cypress, that is this URL. Visit is a method which is mainly used to hit the specific URL. Like in Selenium, we have a get method, right? So similarly, in Cypress, we have a method called visit. So which is mainly used to log into this web page, right? So by default, Cypress provides a spec. So what I want to do is I will simply say, okay, run the spec. So this, what it will do is it will now execute this test case and I can able to see the result. So I will say, okay, run the spec. I will just click this. Now you can able to see automatically the tests are getting executed. You can see now it opened that specific URL. There was only just one line of code. Just I want to open this or hit this web page. So this is this web page. So when I click this, it opened the web page, right? So that is what, if I just click here, I can able to see this output, right? So this is nothing but the screenshot of this specific web page, right? So now if I quickly come back to my test, if I come here I can able to see the command line actions which happens, the communication that happens between Cypress and the application, the browser, and I can able to see the browser logs over here. And one more thing, I can now able to see this E2E folder. And if I go inside, I can able to see this spec file here. So which comes automatically from Cypress. If I click here, I can able to see the script, right? So this uses a specific structure like describe it, all this. This comes from a framework called Mocha. I'll talk about what is Mocha framework in a while. If time permits, we will talk about Mocha framework also today. So where we will use a block, something called as describe block, it block, all this. So this by default uses a framework called Mocha framework. So that is what this is coming, right? So you are getting a basic understanding what is happening actually here. But no worries, we will create this also from scratch. I will talk about how to create a test on our own. We will create our test now. But before that, is this clear? How to create a basic configuration structure, how to create a folder structure for Cypress, how to accept the default demo test, execute, see the result in the test runner. This is clear. Can you just quickly try this? Let me know things are working and you can able to understand things. Yes, no?
Yes, Sunny.
Yeah, please do that. I'll stop sharing. It's complete and let me know. Just let me know, guys, if you face any issues. Any doubts? Please let me know if you need my help. So if you have completed, just type done in the chat box. Okay, so thanks Alvin, Namir, Sudipta. What about others? Okay, now we have done. Very done. Okay. Fine, good. So hope things are working and you're getting things slowly. Good. Okay. So now what we will do, we will create our first test. See, so far what we have done is we have used the demo test, so which was coming by default, and we just executed and understood how Cypress execute a test script. So now we will see how to create a test from scratch, how to create our first test in Cypress. I'll just share my screen. So let me know if you can able to see my screen.
Yes, we are able to see.
Yeah, thank you. Fine. So now what we have to do, see, whenever we want to create any spec files, as I told you, it is nothing but the test files. If you want to create, you need to go to this E2E folder. E2E folder. So this is end-to-end testing folder. So here we can create our file. So if you see here spec.cy.js is coming. So similarly, what we will do, we can create a file. So how to create a file? So there are different ways how you can create. You can simply right click this file folder and you can create a new file, right? Or otherwise what you can do, you can just click this and click this button, new file. Anyway, you can create. I will just go with right click, create a new file. And we can give a meaningful name. So as of now, I will simply say test1.cy.js. Right. So as of now, we will start with JavaScript and hit enter. So this will create a file like this. Okay. Right. So now, so here is where we need to create our first. I'll write one statement. Okay, so that is 3 backslash, and I can simply say reference. I'll tell you what is this command. Reference types equal to in double quotes I will say Cypress, and I will close this tag. So what actually this will do, see, this is a default statement which is mainly used to do the code completion from Cypress library. See, the moment when you add your code, right, so automatically you will get the code completion statements coming up, right? So if you want that to happen, so you need to add this, but what actually happens is with the latest version, see, this before in the older versions we need to add, But in the latest versions, we don't want to explicitly add this statement. By default, this comes in the Cypress configuration file. So if you go to this Cypress config.js file, so suppose if I open, I can able to see it says require Cypress. Can you see the same statement by default comes in the Cypress configuration file? So by default, this code completion will be taken care. If in case, even after this, sometimes what happens, that code completion may or may not work. So if that was the case, what you can do, you can add this line at the top. Right. So this is something that we can do. I will just add as the first line. So next, what we can do is, okay. So to write a specific test, we need a test runner, right? So like in Selenium, if I want to relate with the test runner, in Selenium, we have learned about something called test-ng, right? So if I want to write a test case in Eclipse, right? So we will use a testing framework called the test-ng, or like you might have used JUnit, right? So these are all the popular testing framework in Selenium when you work with conventional test automation frameworks. When you work with modern web apps like Cypress, right? So we mainly use a very popular framework called Mocha, so which comes by default with Cypress, right? So Cypress mainly uses Mocha, so which comes inbuilt. So we don't want to explicitly install anything like how we do in Selenium. See, in Selenium, test-ng will not come by default. So you need to go and add the plugins in Eclipse, and you need to first install test-ng. So then you have to add the library or like add the dependencies, and you need to use it. But in Cypress, you don't want to do anything. By default, Mocha framework comes. So Mocha is nothing but a testing framework which we can use to run our test cases, right? So what we can do is we can straight away start writing our test function. So in Mocha framework, a test function always starts with the it block. I can simply say it. It refers a test case. It, and this is the syntax. I can give the name of the test. So what I will do is I will simply create a test. To go to my Google page, I will simply say Google test, something like this. The name of the test I can give Google test, and the syntax is something like this, comma, I need to say function. So this is a function I need to say like this, and I need to use a curly braces, and I can just bring it down. Here is where I will write my code, right? So you see the syntax. So it is it, the name of the test, with a keyword called function, and you can use a curly braces to write your code. So this is one way how you can represent a it block like this. The other way is, instead of writing this function keyword, what I can do is I can simply use this open bracket, close bracket, and I can use this symbol, that is equal to and a greater than symbol, like this. Both will work. So this is another way how you can represent a it block, right? So in test-ng, what we will do, we will simply create a method, right? We will simply create a Java method. Okay, so it block is also a method in Mocha structure. This is how the syntax is. So hope you are clear. So either you can use the function keyword with this parenthesis, or otherwise you can use a normal open close parenthesis with this arrow. Anything, whichever way you are comfortable, you can use that. All right. So now, so I can use a predefined object here, that is CY. So CY is an object, or I would say it is a Cypress command, which holds all the Cypress methods. So Cypress again has a very rich, powerful library. I can use any method. So suppose, as I told you, if I want to open any website, I can directly say dot a method called visit. So now this is what I said, code completion. So the moment when I type, it will give me all the methods, right? So this is something that comes with this reference type statement, right? I can directly use this visit method, and I can simply say to which website I need to go. So I can say https colon google.com. So this is the web page that I need to go, right? And whenever you have created your test, you can able to see a white dot here. Can you see here? White dot means this file was not saved. So if you want to save it, just press Control yes, or otherwise you can go to file and save it. So I will simply say Control yes, that white dot will go off. Now you see it got saved. So this is how I can understand whether my file got saved or not. Right. So now I have created my simple test. So now I need to run this test. So what I can do, I can run my test. I can close this terminal and I can again reopen my terminal. This will open a fresh terminal for me. And simply what I can do, I can simply say I can close all the previous instances, everything. I can close all this and I can say npx Cypress open. Okay, so what this will do, this will open the Cypress test runner, and automatically what it will do, it will execute this test, right? So let's check that. So I will say npx Cypress open. This will now open my Cypress test runner. Yes, this is my Cypress test runner, and it loads the test. I will click this E2E testing. Yeah, so now I need to tell which browser. I will say Firefox. Automatically, it will load the test in Firefox browser. Now you can able to see in this folder, there are two tests. Okay, one is spec, the other one is test one, right? So in this folder, so whichever test I want to execute, I need to tell. And one more thing, if you see here, you can able to find when you created all that, it will give you a neat GUI and in which browser you're going to execute all that, it will show you. So if I click this test one, automatically it will execute that test in the test runner. So you see now it is loading Google page and I can able to see the outcome here. So this is the output, and these are all the communication that happens between Cypress and the application. So it gives me all the requests and responses, and I can able to see the output coming over here. This is clear, and I can now able to see one statement, that is one test that is passed, and there are 0 failures. And anytime if I want to rerun my test, I can click the refresh button. So it will rerun my test execution and I will get the output over here. This is clear. Yes, no.
Yes, fine.
Right. So hope it is not a bouncer. You are getting things. And the only thing is you need to practice. Right. Can you try this quickly? And stop my sharing. Please complete and let me know. So any doubts, guys? Just let me know if you have completed. Okay. Thanks, Shijana.
Hello, Remy.
Yeah, Alvin.
Yeah, so basically, like if I have to run that other spec.cypress file, then I have to open terminal for that. Like that, it works, right?
Correct.
Okay.
If you simply say npx Cypress open, automatically it will open the test runner, and you can just select the test. If you just click it, it will start running.
Okay, that is from the UI.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Namir, Mary, Ebenezer, I'm done. Thank you so much. What about others? Any help? Fine. I'm done. So they're done. Okay, you're done. Good. Fine. See, now you see something interesting. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. Hope you can able to see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah. Okay. Now, okay, let me go to the test. See what I'll do. Let me make some modifications in my test. Okay, and see what is happening. What I'll do, I'll simply come here and make some modifications. So I'll just change a URL which doesn't exist, something like this, and click on save. Right, and let me come to my Cypress runner. And you see the interesting part here. Automatically, you see now, the test got executed. See, the moment I come here, it is giving me an output saying that, sorry, we could not load this web page. It gives me a 404 error. That means this is a bad URL. This URL doesn't exist. Right. So what actually Cypress will do is, whenever you make any modifications to your test, and if you save, it will re-execute the test automatically in the Cypress test route. That is what I can able to see. So it is saying me we tried connecting to this URL and this server was not found, and I'm getting a fail. Right. So Cypress, what it will do by default, it will watch for any file changes and re-execute on its own. It will save a plenty of time, right? So in Selenium and all, we don't have this feature. So whenever we make any changes, I need to execute on my own. But in Cypress, by default, what happens? It will re-execute, right? But sometimes I don't want this feature. Right. I don't want Cypress to automatically re-execute whenever I make any changes. I want to do that manually. Right. So if that is the case, so what do I do? So what we have to do? We have to add one settings. I can just go to my folder structure and open the file cypress.config.js. Just open this file. Right. And one more thing you need to note. If you are using Cypress version 10 and below, suppose if you are using Cypress 10 and below, then you will not find this configuration file. You will not find a file called cypress.config.js. Right. You will find a file called cypress.json. Okay. Right. You will find a file called cypress.json. Only if you have Cypress 10 and above, please make a note. See, these are all some minute things, which you need to understand in open source automation. See, always there will be changes. See, whatever we are seeing today, maybe after a week or after a month or after a year, the same settings may not be there. So always I would recommend to go to the official documentation and see for any changes. Right. See, I am talking about today. So with this version, we have a configuration file, cypress.config.js, right? So you open this, and in this file, we need to add one statement in the configuration. See, you go to the E2E configuration. So inside this, don't make any changes. Don't disturb any settings. Just add one line. Watch for file changes. Okay, watch for file changes. Just click that and you say false and put a comma. That's it, right? So by default, whenever you make any changes, Cypress will not now automatically run the test runner. By default, this settings is true. Okay, right? If you make it false and save this, it will not run. Now let me recheck this. The moment you make any changes in the configuration file, it will disconnect your terminal and it will re-execute it. Now if I go to our Cypress test runner, let me re-execute this. I go to this file and make some changes. I'll again set it back to the original valid URL and save this. Now, if I go to my Cypress runner, 1 second. Yeah, this is my Cypress runner. It will show me the test. Now, if I click this, it will execute. By default, it will not execute anything. You see now? Now it is executing the test. It goes to the Google page. Yeah, and I'm getting a valid response and the test is passed. So now if I come back to my test and make any changes, let me say Google and save it and come back to my test runner, nothing will happen. Can you see now? It will not execute. So I want to manually execute. So now if I click this refresh, it will manually execute and I will get the same error. Is this clear? Hope you're getting what I'm saying. Yes, no? All good?
Yes.
Fine. Okay. So I'll repeat again what I said towards the end. So we understood how to create a test. So by default, when you make any changes to your existing spec file in Cypress, and if you just save it, automatically what Cypress will do? Cypress will watch whether there are any changes happening. it will periodically poll and check. Whenever any changes are encountered, it will automatically run the test runner by default. Right. So even though that may be a difference and that may be an advantage to an extent, where you can save some time every time executing manually, but sometimes that may also be an hindrance, because like before you have a stable test script, so you will make a lot of changes, and every now and then when you make a small change, you don't want to always execute your test runner, right? So you want to bypass or like suppress the settings. So for that, what you have to do? So you have to make the changes in your settings file. So you have to go to this Cypress settings file, and you need to add a parameter, watch for file changes, and make the value as false. Save it. Automatically, the moment you make any changes in your settings file, so it will terminate the session. Again, you need to restart the session, make the changes and check. Nothing will get affected in your test run. Right. So with this, what we will do, so we will logically stop for today. So today we understood what is Cypress, the features of Cypress. So what are the prerequisites of Cypress, and how to set up a Cypress project by creating a node project, installing Cypress. And we understood the basic architecture of Cypress, how to execute the demo test. Then we created our own test. We understood what is Mocha framework. So what is the default structure to create a test case? We understood that. We executed a simple script, and we saw how it gives me a test runner or a test report, and what happens if you make any changes to your test, and so how to basically avoid re-executing or like automatically executing whenever you make any changes. So all this we saw today. So with this, we will stop for today, and in our next session, so what we will do, so we will move ahead. We will see a lot of interesting things like how to locate elements in Cypress, as like in Selenium. Here also we have quite a few locators. We will try to understand how to locate elements and how to interact with those elements. And we will also see different types of element, how to locate a radio button or like a checkbox, how to work with different types of elements in web applications. All that in detail, we will start in our next session. So that is on Monday. Right. So before we actually close, just try to get your feedback as well. So if it is a classroom session, I can able to understand. Since it's virtual, and probably for people who are attending from India, and again, so this is an extended time, I do really understand. So that on a Friday evening, again, like we are extending, and I really appreciate your patience, and like your time and effort, what you are putting to get to understand what is Cypress. I really appreciate that. But I also want to hear your feedback. If there is anything positive or negative, whatever, we can take it up, and so we will go accordingly in our next subsequent sessions. Just want to get your feedback, whether this is okay the way like how we are going, the pace, the speed, you want more time for your practice, or like whatever feedback you have. So please let me know. So just we will take a couple of feedbacks from you guys, and we will close today's session. Yeah, anything you wish to share? I will hear from Mary Divya.
Yeah, okay.
I can see Mary Divya on the screen.
Okay. Hi, Rami. I think this pace is fine for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and the format also, how you are explaining this in detail, this is good.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary.
You are explaining even the minute things, so it will help us.
Yeah, so that is something which is really important. I don't want to take like a normal session, like just comparing with Selenium or like whatever. See, tomorrow these configurations are something which is very important, and which we really use in projects, right? So suddenly there will be some settings which will trouble us, or like certain functionalities will trouble us. That is something which is very important for us to know. So that is the reason I am just going in detail and explaining all that concepts. Yeah. So thanks, Mary, for your.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share something? Alvin, I think I need to pick up names. People are very tired.
Hi, Remy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was also like very comfortable with the pace. I was able to try out the things with the pace.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. So if anytime if I'm going fast or slow, so because so that is something that the challenge that we have in a virtual environment, so we have to be interactive, and if in case so you want me to stop for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, max 5 minutes, not at all a problem. Please let me know. I'll wait. Yeah. So we don't want to rush or we don't want to run. We have planned it in an efficient way. So we have enough days to cover up everything. And whenever you feel like you need to stop or like you feel the pace is too slow or too high, please let me know. Thanks, Arvind. Yeah. Anybody else? Sudipta?
Yeah, for me also this was fine, and maybe now we are done the small changes, but going forward, if this coding is bit more, maybe I would need some more time.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, sure, Sudipta. Thank you so much. Srikanth?
Yeah, Rami, I think the pace is good for everyone because most of them are not familiar with the Cypress. So with that pace, everyone will be able to follow. So it was good, and even you are explaining those small points, it was very useful, Rami. So going forward, we can learn it quickly.
Sure. Thank you so much, Srikanth.
Thanks, Rami.
Anybody else? Let's hear from some silent listeners. Arjun, Arati, Bhavya. Anybody wants to share something?
Yeah, Rami, it was quite good. Personally, it was quite understanding for me and the detailed explanations and all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, thanks, Ulesh. I don't understand who is this A-10253. Thank you so much. Yeah, Shamblingappa, thank you so much. Okay, great. Okay, thanks, Sijina. Great. So any help, please let me know. So let us, so we are here for a reason, and let's make this session productive. And I do understand as like we are extending our time, and it is something which is really important. We need to understand things. And if you have any questions, concerns, anytime, please let me know. We will take it up accordingly. Right. And thank you so much. So thanks everyone, and let's connect back again on Monday evening, IST timings at 6 o'clock. Thanks a lot, and wish you all a very happy weekend.
Thank you, Rami.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rami.